In this lesson, I want to talk about color mixing. Now, before we do that, I want to talk about one of our other curves. So I'm just going to add our LUT as we always do. And what I'm also going to do here is call up our vector scope, and let's just give this just a little bit of a quick correction here. That's looking very nice. All right, and what I'm going to do here is just add a couple nodes in between the two that we had there. And with node 3, I'm just going to take the blue colors and just bring them right over here like such. All right, perfect. Now, on the node right after that, we're going to head into our curves. And I want to head to luminance versus saturation. It's one of the ones that we didn't talk about in our previous lesson where we were getting in and talking about what the different curves are going to give you the ability to do. Now, what it lets you do is it lets you control the saturation of the highlights, the midtones, or the shadows, or the blacks, whites, or grays. So what I'm going to do is add a point down into the blacks or the shadows, and we're just going to bring that value right down to 0. Now, you might not notice anything happen. I'm just going to turn it off and turn it on. Now, if you look very closely, you actually will. And where you're going to notice this is in the darkest parts of the shot. Here, even a little bit in the hair. Now, the higher up that we bring our point where we're actually going to have the saturation get cut off, we'll notice the effect happen more. And what we're basically doing is we're desaturating those values. So of course, obviously we want to keep the blacks as black as possible, not have them influenced by this blue color that we've pushed into the entire image. So this is where luminance versus saturations curve comes into play. Now it's going to come into play in our lesson because when we start talking about the technique I'm going to show you with color mixing, we want to make sure that it's not impacting the blacks. So let's just remove everything just so that we have our curve and we have our balance. All right, now, again, we're going to add another node. I'm just going to do that exact same technique that we just did. I'll give us a little bit more space here, and then we're just going to bring this right down to 0. So basically, the absolute blacks of our shot are going to not have any saturation added to them at all. And it's going to ramp up a little bit as we get towards somewhere up towards the midtones. All right, so I'm going to add another node, and we're going to add a few parallel nodes in here. We are going to get in and do a little bit of a color change. I'm going to come back to our primary wheels, and I'm just going to give this an overall offset change over towards red. And by doing that, what we're also going to do is just isolate part of the image with a power window, a circle. I'm just going to place that right up here. Same thing we're going to do with the next node, except in this case, we're going to be going to green. Okay, not too much. Okay, there we go. And again, exactly the same technique that we just did. We're just going to add a circle. I'm going to place it right up here. And last but certainly not least, we're going to push this one over here towards blue. And again, I'm just going to come to our power windows. We're just going to add a circle. And what I'm doing when I do this here is I'm basically overlapping our colors and showing you obviously that the combination of red and blue, for example, makes purple. But more importantly in this case, the combination of red and green actually produces yellow in there. So we're going to take this yellow concept and we're going to take it one step further. Now, the reason that I want to show you things this way is because I want you to start to rethink the way that you're doing things. All right? And I'm just going to disable both of these nodes. In a lot of cases, and instead of coming in and splitting the two colors up into red and green to create yellow, what you may have just done is push the entire image towards yellow. The only problem with that is that there are limited ways to influence the yellow this way. Whereas if we turn these two nodes back on and mix red and green together, we're in a better position to manipulate the yellow because we can work with the individual colors that make up yellow. We can tweak each color to create new color combinations and adjust the individual strengths and brightness levels. By mixing colors together, you will experience that the colors fall into place with better separation. We're going to head on over to our key section. I'm going to put this key, I don't know, somewhere around 0.55. Okay? What we see now is that we have a very interesting mix of colors that is well distributed throughout the image thanks to the base work that we have done when setting the contrast and balance. This look would not be possible to create within a single node, and we are now in much better control of the color elements in the image. If you want to take the concept of mixing colors to the next level, you can add a third color into the mix and get access to another set of colors called tertiary colors.